It's 11 p.m. on the 20th of August 2020. Now the planet Mercury and the moon is currently in Virgo. And today, my mind has been an absolute mess. It was neither this nor that. It was just a big blob of blah. And that's the best way I can describe it. And it had me thinking about how the Virgo would feel, or the emotions that they live with inside, having this void that's not defined. Please like, comment and subscribe and let me know what you think, or if you felt weird today too. Just enjoy this video. Thank you.
I have these thoughts so often.
So when I talk about Virgo, Virgo is actually an extremely powerful sign, but people don't actually see it that way. And let me just explain to you my version of how I understand a Virgo. And this is based on how I interpret the patterns that I kind of perceive in people that I've come across with Virgo in them. I actually have Virgo in me too, so I actually understand innately how Virgo comes across. And the way that I'm going to actually explain Virgo is I'm going to do it by telling a story because it's less confronting. But I absolutely want you to understand and take out the moral of the story, or the message within the story. Sometimes it's a lot easier to understand it that way. And this is how I always read a Virgo. Because generally when we're a bit chaotic, it's because we don't understand, because we can't see the picture of that which we are, because we're looking at it from a very small perspective, which is from our individual perspective, which we can't see the big picture, right? It's hard to see oneself objectively. But I want you to, and the purpose of why I'm doing this is actually, I see a lot of potential in you to do amazing things to help people. Whether or not that's the path you want to go down is another story, because I know that you have a lot of conflict that goes up within you. You have anxiety from left, right and center, and I want to explain that today, and I want to explain what exactly that means. And this might be a little bit confronting. Don't know if you're prepared to hear it, and take it for what you will, but I hope you actually take my words seriously with what I'm actually describing. So Virgo, let's talk about the archetype of Virgo. So first of all, Virgo is the sixth sign. And I want to talk to you about all the basic information about Virgo. If you want to understand basic stuff, just go look it up in Google, or just look up my video on YouTube that I explained years ago on a very basic level what Virgo is. So Virgo is generally perceived, we generalize all these types, right? We say all Virgos do this, all Scorpios do that, all Capricorns do this. And we generalize, and that's not actually quite right, and I don't believe in that. I believe that we need to understand different perspectives as opposed to just judging people based on the categories that we kind of put them in. So when we look at a Virgo, Virgo's usually described as an analytical sign, very perfectionistic, very practical, very earth routine, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's a boring way to explain Virgo, right? But let me just give you some. All those words are very nice and they're all adjectives to describe you, right? But it doesn't actually give you any meaning. You can't really understand something deeply unless you have put meaning to it. And when you put meaning to it, I'm gonna give you this story to give it meaning, right? Okay. So the archetype of Virgo. Virgo is number 6, right? All of life is 1 to 7. If you look at 1 being Aries, it evolves from one sign into the next, all the way up to Pisces. So when you get up to Pisces, you've got everybody within you, within the Pisces. So when you look at 1 to 6, now we've got 7 as Libra, which is the next sign after Virgo. Libra is representative of an inanimate object, which is scales. After Libra, you have death, which is Scorpio. And everything after Scorpio is unconscious. Everything before Virgo and before is conscious world. So we're talking about birth and death cycle, right? And if you look at Libra being the middle, remember Libra is represented by love, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So you got to remember there's a conflict of one and the other, which shouldn't be seen as a conflict. So Virgo. Now, 7,000 years ago, way back when, once upon a time, long time ago, in a land far, far away, there was the original archetype of Virgo. Now, Virgo was born of gods, right? And she was extremely pure and absolutely beautiful. And Virgo was a healer, and she healed through, herbal medicines of the land and through love healing, and she was the ultimate healer. Thing is, over time, people they look at witch doctors or shamans or these druids and they think, oh, that's a bit weird. And the thing is with the Virgo, she's a beautiful being, holy being, right? Doesn't quite belong here in this world. Now, what happened to her was people rejected her, they accused her of whatever, they banished her, they banned her, punished her, they stoned her. Essentially what it's about is they did not accept Virgo for what she was. Now, Virgo, being heartbroken, she's like, oh my god, I can't naturally be human. How do I be human? They want me to be normal, but what the hell is normal? Can't do that normally. Now, if you consider this, people who naturally exist, they just naturally exist. They don't think about it. They don't know what they're doing, right? So what Virgo kind of did was, oh no, I have to, because otherwise I need to belong if I want to be with the people and belong with people. Like, I need that. That's what humans do, right? So she rejected herself just as everybody else rejected herself in order to belong and be accepted. And how she did that is, if she doesn't naturally know how to do it, obviously she's going to watch people and see what they're doing, not understand what the hell they're doing, but she's watching them and she breaks their actions down. She analyzes it deeply, thoroughly, in order to mimic, replicate, and ape. Now, the conscious world is the world of logic, right? And the Virgo does this with everything. You need to really compare this to others in order for you to understand. Virgo breaks things down deeply, thoroughly, to analyze, right? When I say normal, I say speechless. Normal people they don't know what they're doing. If you told them to break it down, they will have no clue how to actually break it down and actually understand anything. They're just doing, they're just existing, right? So, and Virgo's actually doing this as a survival technique. And Virgo becomes really good at this because that's all it does, because it's kind of panicking constantly. It's trying to survive. It's freaking out because of fear of acceptance, right? Or lack of acceptance, or fear of not being accepted. And this is kind of really upsetting if you think about it. And this is 7,000 years ago. And if you imagine this energy, the healer of the Virgo has been repressed and pushed back. I don't even know if they even realize that Virgos even realize that it's part of them. But what you have today is a Virgo will be striving for success in the way that success is understood by the people around the Virgo. Now, Virgo evolved over time is extremely logical. They have an extreme, absolute, grand understanding of logical thinking and reasoning. Logical thinking and reasoning makes sense. You can follow it. It's systematic. You can Google things. You can look things up. You can understand logic. And this is something that Virgo actually grows to be extremely talented with. Extremely. But the Virgo doesn't understand that they see that it's a talent because they think everybody else does it, but they forget. They don't know that no one else is doing it. So the amount of information, because essentially what this gives you is an underlying level of OCD, right? An underlying level of identifying things that are out of place, things that will be of risk for someone to reject you or criticize you. Something that, anything that could cause that is something that you're going to be paranoid at or watchful of. So objectively, people look at a Virgo and see them as absolute perfectionists, and they're so great at what they do. They're so they understand. So maybe they need to loosen up with this whole logic thing, but they don't really kind of get it, because we're only looking at it from one perspective. You didn't understand this objectively, right? So Virgo today, let me just explain the Virgo in today's day. Virgos today, we call them earth signs. Earth moves very slowly. It strives towards success things, and let's just say the ideal way of being a human, however that is. So according to your friends, whether it's your family, your religion, your community, your nationality, your suburb, or whatever clique or community that has the power to criticize you and affect you, will be what you'll be striving for. And whatever they see as success, that's what you're ultimately trying to achieve. Now, the thing is though, you don't have any natural talents, because you're not natural to being a person, right? There's no natural talents here, but the thing is with Virgo, being an earth sign, is very committed to things that they decide to do or deliver. If there's an expectation, the amount of expectation is extremely intense, like over too much, right? And you will commit to, and that very essence of making that decision to deliver something, you're like extremely 100% committed to it, to deliver that, right? So you may not be very good or naturally talented at anything. However, your ability to be able to commit to something makes you extremely powerful here. So you just keep going at it until you will be the best at it. You might be the shittest at it at first, but you will be the best at it if we give you enough time and patience on it, and there's no pressure. The thing is with Virgos that people don't understand in their unique gift, you could say, is that they can achieve anything they wish to achieve, anything, just through their determination and commitment to deliver. And whether or not it's because it's come from fear, that is a fear-based action, you need to see that as a kind of a gift, because you can do anything. I've always said, and when I did my original video, Virgo, I actually said, if you give Virgos enough time, they could rule the world. True story. And I've always said, if I ever have a business, I'd probably hire only Virgos, because I know Virgos will work back and not get paid extra. It's true. But, so, when I look at this here, right, so you have a great ability to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Now, the decision-making thing is another story. We'll get into that. When I talk about this ability or gift, it's like Mother Nature. It's not fair for you to have a gift and be ahead of everyone and have that kind of power. But it's like Mother Nature didn't reduce your ability. Instead, she kind of just gave you an inferiority complex to go hand in hand with it. Now, that's not really fair. That's kind of sucky, right? But it's so to prevent you from being so good at what you do. But that's the evolution of a Virgo. If you can overcome the inferiorities, you can achieve great things, because anxiety in itself is fear of acceptance, right? And it goes hand in hand with Virgos. When I think anxiety, I scream in my head Virgos, and maybe Aquarius. but Virgos first and foremost. It's kind of like inbuilt in Virgos in general. And that in itself is something that you need to understand. And this is not the very essence of Virgo. It may not be relating to you directly, where you had a parent that criticized you, or a parent that didn't accept you as the way that you were, or didn't appreciate you as the way that you were. And it may very well be that, but we however it is, it actually goes deeper than that, because it gets triggered, because you get a bit sensitive when it comes to criticism. The sensitivity is because you are a bit skewed when it comes to that, because you are more sensitive to potential criticism, because it's so deep within you, that hurt that you have, that trauma from that rejection, right? So wherever Virgo kind of presents itself in someone's chart is the facade that you kind of display to the world. There's a mask that is worn. So like the healer is not real. It's not being genuine. And to be honest, I used to struggle a lot with Virgos when I first kind of come across this, when I didn't understand astrology. I kind of struggled with Virgos because I assumed that they're extremely fake. And being a Scorpio, I'm not very tolerant of people who are fake. And over time, that's my ignorance though, over time I didn't realise much about astrology. When I learnt about it, I kind of felt really kind of bad, because you know, when I think on my shallow level, I think that it's your choice to be fake. But in actuality, it's not a choice. It's a survival mechanism for you to be alive, right? Now, you know when they say what you can't do, you teach. See, Virgos are still ultimately the healers. They're ultimately meant to rule the real world, as opposed to the Pisces, which rules spirit world. Pisces is about mental health. Virgos are about how to handle the real world, or how to deal with the real world out there. It's more of, you know, physical health and mental, no, not mental, I think emotional health is Pisces. With Virgo is how to deal action-based with the world out there. And you guys can be really good at this, because I rely on Virgos to actually get shit done. There's a lot of things in my life that I would never have been able to do without Virgos in my life. Now, Virgo, I have no issue with, because that's what you're striving to be. You're striving to heal people and help them deal with the real world, with real world things, and help them do things or understand logically how things work.
Nobody thinks what I think. Nobody dreams when they blink. Think things on the brink of blasphemy. I'm my own strength. Think things are after me. I'm my catastrophe.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you want me to do part 2, like, comment and subscribe and let me know. Thank you.